GHOne TV, your best experience.
Now, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, the standardized ambient sound for residential areas is 55 decibels per day and then 48 per night. But how many of you are aware, especially with the constant springing up of churches and the seeming noise pollution, what happens when the place that is supposed to stir our inner beings and provide a safest haven for solace now begins to rattle your peace of mind? Are the churches beginning to do too much, or we as humans, we are overreacting? Tonight on the show, we want to discuss the phenomenon of noisy churches and how do we curb it, and of course, what does the law say? Before I let you in on my guests and then set the tone for the conversation, let's listen to this letter sent in from one of our viewers.
Dear Tales, I don't live in an estate, but my neighborhood is somewhat quiet. I have been here for almost 15 years and I will say that I haven't had any cause for complaints except for one thing. There is a church right behind my house and I can't begin to narrate the level of stress it puts me through. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm also a Christian, but the way this church in particular disturbs my peace is worrying. The incessant day and night services, random drumming and singing, as well as dawn prayers are making my life a living hell. They simply have no regard for peace and sanity. With the kind of demanding work I have, every time of rest is very important to me, but coming home these days brings me no joy. Several times I have tried calling for attention over my wall to alert them to reduce their noise a bit. On about 3 occasions, I have also been there to personally see their leaders and register my concerns, but it seems the noise goes down for a day or two, then shoots back up in higher decibels. Honestly, I think I have had it and want to report the issue to the police, but I also don't want to be the cause of the closure of this church. If it was possible to move from this neighborhood, I would have gladly done so long ago, but this is my house, built with my sweat. What do I do, Tales?
Okay, so I'm sure in your various neighborhoods, you've heard this fire, fire, fire. Well, that's what we want to discuss tonight on the show. My name is Lily Muhammad. This show is proudly supported by Peck Biscuits. My guest tonight, Reverend Benny Osadia, is the resident pastor at Family House Chapel inside Hachu. Apostle Theophilus Jeffries is the founder and lead pastor at Ever Flourishing City Chapel International. Our very own Miss Tuno is a lifestyle sex motivational speaker, and she's also a disturbed resident. And Gilbert Nyankwa is the head of public affairs at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. He will join us later with a submission on what the law says about noise pollution, especially religious noise pollution. Good evening, gentlemen and lady.
Good evening.
How are you? Good to see all of you.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so let me go this way. Rev, what's your take on this gentleman's issue?
Well, thank you very much for having me and us, and also a good evening to your cherished viewers. I think it's a big concern, really, what the gentleman is going through and what they're supposed to be the peace ambassadors and the representative of God on earth are putting him through. I think that to a very large extent, he's, like he mentioned, he's a Christian. And he's been very polite and respectful in asking if this can be achieved. Unfortunately, maybe not much is done about it. And I think that his plight is not being taken into consideration. See, it is not nice to be in a place where you're supposed to find solace and peace, and it doesn't come. The Bible, even the small ones that a wife or a husband would do at home, the Bible says that when a wife does it, it is better for the man to run to the top of the roof and live there than to live in the home of a woman. That's what the Bible says. So imagine when there is a constant amplifier of the sound, the noise that is coming into your room where you need to maybe take a rest, where you need to work. I work as a performance and HR and customer experience consultant. I do a lot of development and I work at night. I can imagine when this is coming because I create content, I create knowledge. So you need a level of focus and attention in order to drive the sequence of knowledge to be shared. So when you constantly have it, and I have one, unfortunately it's not a church. It is more in line with, a pub, a shebeen, or what we call a bar.
Drinking
All right.
spot.
My only worry with the positioning of the topic is it's not then addressing the element of noise pollution, but it sounds like an attack on the church. Because the church is not the only generator of noise. So if we are dealing with a conversation around noise, let's be generic about it. But
Right.
only in the situation of the lady that we go to.
Because of the
lady
letter.
start. Exactly. So I
sent in by
understand
the
that
viewer.
in that regard.
But I mean, in essence, we want to talk about what the law says also about noise pollution
That's correct.
in Ghana
That's
as well.
correct.
Ms. Uno, let me hear from you.
Okay, so you want to know my general view on
your
the
take
story.
on this letter? Yes.
For me, what struck me was you can tell that his mental health state is all over the place because that's what jumped at me. Like I wasn't even listening to what was causing the noise and everything. The fact that he can't even go home, and he talked about he wanted to move, but he's worked so hard to
his home.
get that place, and so what's the point in having your own house, building your own house, and then you cannot have peace of mind, because peace of mind is everything.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, if you don't have peace of mind,
Yeah.
there's no point, because you go to work, you come home, and then you cannot even, feel safe and, be able to relax. Then what's the point? And then you're going to go back to work again. So already your mental state is all over the place. You understand? So he's sounding very frustrated. That's how I see it, like a cry for help. Like, get me out.
What do I do?
That's how I see it. He needs help. So
Apostle.
that's, yeah.
I'm wondering if he would ever get the help.
Why?
Yes, because I think we live in a system where he said he may go to the police. There are several people who could testify of incidents like this. They have gone to the police.
I'm one of them.
They've written letters. They've talked to the assembly, go to APA,
Nothing
and
of
all
that.
those stuff. Yeah, they have not seen the head and tail because it looks as if our system, the laws doesn't work in a way. The structures are there, but they are not being put to work. But here's my take on this issue. We have agreed that to some extent, the noise is there. You see, like she was saying, I also sympathize with the guy. Too much noise introduces stress to the body.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you expose your body to some level of noise, your body comes under attack. Because our body treats any strange thing coming to it like an attack. So once the noise is too much, the ears rejects it. Immediately your ears reject the noise, it sounds an alarm in your system that the body is under attack. It causes your stress hormones to begin to surge. Reasons why usually nobody can really sleep in this noisy environment. And here's the deal. I wonder.
No, but not everybody. Some people do.
Oh, yeah.
Some people actually go to clubs and go to churches, even in the midst of prayer, they are sleeping.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
But that same noise to wake you up.
That same noise will wake you up.
We'll wake them up,
Yeah,
But the issue is that usually in the church, why you communicate not to be heard primarily. You communicate to be understood. Now, immediately you even increase the volume, the level of the sound to some extent, the communication loses its beauty. Reason why even in the prayer, hey, people don't even hear what you are saying. And if I stop people in the midst of prayer, ask them, what is the prayer point we are praying about? Some can't even tell you. Because sometimes the noise level in terms of the amplification is too loud. So communication doesn't even make sense. The church, the prayer meeting, even the preaching or the teaching, but unfortunately, quite a number of people feel that once I shout into the microphone, I feel okay. I think it's a misunderstanding.
Is the church, to an extent, being insensitive to surroundings?
Well, to some extent.
That's why I added to an extent.
Yes, to some extent, yes. Quite a number of people. You see, ignorance is costly, is deadly, is poisonous. Quite a number of people who are producing such level of noise, who is a pastor. If you are a pastor, like Rev said, we are supposed to be the ambassadors of peace, provide peace, harmony, and unity in our society. Now, if I'm a pastor and then my speakers are producing nuisance to some extent, people can't sleep and they approach me, I should reason. I should understand that, hey, they have a genuine concern. They may not be proud coming to my church, but they have to sleep, they have to rest. So I should be able to understand and accommodate and compromise. Immediately I can't compromise, then there could be something wrong with my thinking. Because a lot of people have not even renewed their mind. So we over-spiritualized almost everything in the church, where usually most of the people who are not really enlightened. But the Bible we practice says that you must renew your mind. Mind renewal is key. An empowered spirit with a deformed brain will create problems in society. So when the pastor, his spirit is well empowered, energized, but the brain not well informed, his mind not well renewed, trust you me, you cannot even reason with such a person. He will see you as an enemy. And usually once someone sees you as an enemy, there are people you can't help in life. Those who see you as an enemy, those who think you are the cause of their issue. That's how come they may even pick you up as a prayer point, because they see you.
I like that part.
You know, yes, because they see you as the cause
and
of
then you are in your room and they are praying, and you know that this prayer is for you. It's
for you. Yes. You know, so anyone who sees you as their problem, who sees you as the cause of their issue,
want to eliminate you.
They want to eliminate you. Yeah, obviously. So, but ideally, I think it's lack of ignorance that allows people. If you are a pastor, you are a reverend, you are a minister of God, and you produce such level of noise in your environment, and people talk to you and you will listen to them, it's unfair.
Rev, would you agree that some churches are gradually becoming a nuisance to society?
Oh, too many. Too many. I think that most churches have lost the direction of, or the essence of their existence in the society. The church, the mandate of the church is not in a building.
Right.
Is to shine out there. If you create enmity through your, noise making and behavior in the community, how do you win them?
Okay, so you mentioned a very interesting point, to shine out there.Maybe their way of shining out there is the noise.
From where?
Come on.
I mean, from the church. They want people to become aware of them.
How far does that noise go? You're only disturbing your immediate community. Then he said, take this to Jerusalem, but move it out to the Judea, to Samaria, and to the uttermost part. So my influence as a church is not to keep my salt in its container. It's supposed to serve the community.
Right.
My light is supposed to shine out there. I'm not supposed to use my light to destroy the people. See, a lot of people don't want to be in the church today because the church is not even standing for what it's supposed to stand for. The church is supposed to be a model of truth, stand on the precepts of God's word, and be an example to the community. Unfortunately, in many instances, when the church needs to lead the way, we have actually, unfortunately, looked the other way. So, yes, there are too many of churches today that are not really. And the fact that you have found a name on a church and they are calling the name of God doesn't really mean God is part of it.
How would you identify that? I mean, this place, God is not part of it, because they are constantly praising, worshiping, and screaming on top of their voice, saying, Jesus, Abba, Abba. How would you know? I mean, there's so many lost souls out there.
Yeah. Well, if you have the spirit of him that raised Christ from the dead, he said, our spirit will bear witness. And you weigh the spirit. You will test the spirit. You see, if you talk about churches and the spirituality of a church, what role they play, what they have become, and how do you know? He said that your spirit will bear witness. The flesh will bear witness to flesh. and spirit to spirit.
Right.
When you look at Corinthians, it said, eyes have not seen nor ears heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men the things that God has prepared for them that love him, but God has revealed them by his spirit. For the spirit searches all things, yea, the deep things of God. Then he asked, what things of a man knoweth a man except the spirit of a man that is in him? In the same way, no one knows the things that are of God except the Spirit of God which is in him. Then he said, for we have received the Spirit not of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given. So the Spirit of God helps for you to be able to have that, that link to resonate. When the Spirit, see, when you meet a good person and you have the Spirit of God, you discern. So I'm not listening to what you are telling me. I'm not actually influenced by whatever I see. I'm listening to the spirit that is within, because on the human face, you might look a certain way, but there is a spirit of a man that will look different. And that is why God is important in our journey as believers. You cannot do it without the Holy Spirit. Right. So if the church loses the touch, see, a church without the Spirit of God has lost its track. And what can you do?
In essence, does it mean that a lot of people are being led astray today?
Well, he already prophesied it, Abi. In the last days, there will be many that will come in his name, and they are none of his. See, others will even make, perform miracles. But he said, on that day, they will say, but I did miracles in your name. He said, I don't know you. So, you see, that is why it is disheartening when people see the miracles as an equation that God is with you. See, there's one thing people must understand. God can fire you and you will still be on the throne in the palace. It is only God who can fire you and you will still be working. When God anointed David to be king over Israel, that was 2 years into the reign of Saul. Saul was in the palace for 30 more years before David took over the throne. But David was languishing, although anointed to be king. He was languishing in the desert and in caves and in tunnels. Saul was in the palace working, but he was replaced already. Wow. So there are too many people today that are still doing stuff, and he's not in it. There's one thing about God. When he gives you a gift, it's yours. You can use it. So the fact that I can prophesy, pray for people, things to happen, God might have separated himself from me. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because it's my gift at work. The problem is that people that are not spiritual are not able to decipher when God is with a man and when the gift is at work.
Interesting. Mr. No, what's been your experience with noise pollution from churches in your neighborhood?
Don't get me started. Even today, like around, and you see, what annoys me is the dawn ones, at dawn. I don't think it's fair. You're asleep. And when you're asleep, you're like practically dead. You know that when you're asleep, because you don't know what's going around you. You are like, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know how to call it, but you are hibernating sort of. And then something just wakes you up.
Sound increases your adrenaline.
Okay, so something just wakes you up and you are already disoriented. You don't even know what's going on around you. And then you whatever woke you up is what you just hear. And so when they are using that megaphone thing, like you talked about sound, when you increase it to a certain point, it becomes just noise. So it's inaudible. You can't hear what the person is saying. All you're hearing is just the noise, that's what, so it's irritating. And then, how am I going to even listen? Because the purpose of what you're doing is to impact knowledge, right? Or impact people or whatever it is.
Spirit.
Yeah. So if you come into someone's area at dawn, people are obviously asleep. I don't know how they think you can just wake somebody up and expect them to listen to what you're saying. I almost got knocked down by a car one time because of this.
Really?
Because, I woke up from sleep. I was so upset. So I just crossed the road straight to go and, shake the person. And the car almost knocked me down. Because I was still half asleep, That's what they do every day. And then when you go and confront them, like you said, they'll call you a demon. Someone said, you're not fighting with me, you're fighting with God. And I said, what are you saying? You woke me from sleep. I can't even, I'm not even getting what you're trying to say. You understand? I live close to a park where they have it's a cluster of schools, about 6 or 7. And the school has rented each building to churches. So there are about 6 churches on that same park. So on Sunday, dear Charlie, and everybody wants to outshout the other, you know. And then aside that, there's the honking of the cars, because I live close to the market. And then there's if there's no light, generators and things like that. So for me, I don't like to. Mentally, I'm very stressed.
You're constantly
mentally
stressed.
I'm very stressed. And to be honest with you, I'm not Christian. I'm agnostic, in fact. So it's very, very hard when you have to go and talk to them, because then already you'll be like, oh, of course. I mean, you and I are not a Christian, so, you know, you're the devil kind of thing. So sometimes I just have to swallow it. So they like I had to swallow it, and then I had to wait for them to be done before I could sleep again. I've gone to the police station. One time I went to the police station, the policeman luckily came with me. Because usually you have to either pay them something or they'll tell you, okay, go and we'll come in. They won't bother coming. But luckily the guy followed me. When we got there and he saw the guy had set up with his huge speakers at my gate. Ooh. My house is just by the roadside, so it's like a good point for them. So they are always there, you know. And so when the policeman got there and saw the guy, I said, oh, but this one there is he's preaching, so it's supposed to be a good thing.
Really?
I left him, yeah. So that's what I got.
Okay. So, like, on this note, I want to sipping some water and then make some money. Lifestyles returns after this break. Stay with us.
According to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly,
on hot cake.
What's your body count? It will be a cozy, sexy one-on-one date with a hot cake and her guys this Friday. Yes, you heard me right.
What's your favorite sex position?
Turkey. Who wins the heart of the hot cake on this date?
I need a heart, please. Honestly speaking, in my head, I've already the girl already.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, you don't have to lie again.
Like, seriously?
Join the excitement this Friday at 9 p.m. on the only dating reality show that can make you or break you. We are live on DSTV, channel 361, Go TV 179, on Showmax and on Multi TV. Join the live stream on GHOne TV's Facebook page and on YouTube.
Hot Cake is proudly brought to you by Flora Disposable Tissues, Top Choco, Betway, The Sylvester's Gents Grooming, Angie's Beauty, Steeman Heights, Oh My Hair, Holy Trinity Health Spa and Health Farm, Plug House Productions and Engineering, Samson's Creations, and J. Ray Fashion. Supported by Bluebell's Liquid Soap and Bleach and Uella Dazzles. Oh yes! Your Sunday just got more entertaining, insightful, and educative. The Natalie Ford Show is back with a bang. Make a date with Natalie every Sunday at 7 p.m. The Natalie Ford Show. Conversations that matter.
The Natalie Ford Show is sponsored by MTN, Absa Bank Ghana, Dogtas Exclusive, Movenpick Ambassador Hotel.
GHOne TV, your best experience.
Welcome back to the show. Tonight we're discussing the uncomfortable phenomenon of noisy churches. What does the law say about it? But Peck is back again, bringing you the best, as they always do. Your favorite Peck biscuits have been made milkier, tastier, with 2 extra biscuits in every pack that you buy. For all your great moments, Peck has got you covered. Get your 16% extra promo pack in any shop near you for those Pecky moments. You see these? It gives you those pecky moments that you desire. Morning, afternoon, evening, all you need is grab a pack of Peck biscuits. Now, let's look at what the law says about noise pollution, especially with regards to churches. Gilbert Nyankwa is with the Public Affairs Unit of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
according to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Abatement of Noise Bylaw 2017, Section 7, which deals with religious institutions, subsection A, and if you allow me, it states that a church conducting a religious service shall not play music or allow music to be played or preached or prayed at the service so loud to cause disturbance or nuisance to residents in an area. B talks about the fact that where music is to be played in a religious institution, the sound effect of that music shall remain within the confines of the building. C talks about the fact that religious institutions must ensure that they acquire sound insulators to enable the sound produced within their premises stay within the permitted sound levels within the existing law. D also talks about the fact that a person conducting religious service where music is to be played or preached with loudspeakers and microphones must be within 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. E also talks about the fact that where the religious institutions, and this is something we normally experience within the various communities, where a religious institution organizes all-night services, it shall have facilities and gadgets to ensure that the sound effect or music played or any activity remains within the confines of that particular premise. Let's now move to section 9 of the same bylaw, which deals with persons doing public preaching, especially within the central business district. A also talks about the fact that public preachers shall obtain approval from the Metro Public Health Department of the Assembly before they could move and do whatever preaching they want to do. The permit so issued shall specify certain conditions, and some of the conditions deals with the timing. For instance, you are expected to ensure that your sermons will be between 8 and 10 p.m. and after, you must stop wherever you're doing.
Beautiful laws. How many people actually go by these laws? Implementation, they say, is always the issue. So that was Gilbert Nyankwa. He's with the Public Affairs Unit of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Apostle, has anybody ever accosted you over pollution in your vicinity where your church is located?
No, where I am as Binters, I've never had such a complaint because I don't produce noise. I produce
how do you know you don't produce noise?
When it becomes nuisance to the ears. I don't even like it when even the keyboardist play keyboards is too loud. Like I said, communication loses its beauty. Sound, music loses its beauty. Once it's about a particular this thing, your ears will reject it. So because I believe in excellence, so I don't like noise. Even if you are leading prayer in my church, and you put the microphone close to your mouth, I'll call after that. I say no. People must hear what you are saying. You are not to communicate to make noise. You have to communicate for people to get you. So with that, I make sure that people. Now where I am, I don't even play drums because the doors and stuff like that, the sound will go out.
Okay, so
for now,
they are not insulated for now.
Yes. So I don't even use drums in my church now. For now, I use the keyboard, I use all the stuff, but the drum itself, I'm not because I want to move to another location where the room is fully insulated. Drum can come in, and then I'll be okay. Because appearing on TV and doing all the things you do, I don't want to add up to the nuisance. Not at all. Not at all.
Rev, has any resident ever approached you on the noise emanating from your church?
Not in light of noise making. It's in light of noise level during Homo War.
Okay.
When there's a ban on drumming and dancing. We live close to a palace. And usually, if they reckon, and I'm saying this with all the due protocols with respect to the Ga Traditional Council and their request, we try to, ensure that this is done. We don't even play the drums at all during those times. Whatever we do is lower totally. Sometimes, of course, you would have these incessant individuals who just want to So they will come by, but when they get there, they realize that, and let me say this personally. I like to think that the Bible says that he who walks in the truth and has the Spirit does not need another to remind him of the law, because the law is for the lawless, not the law abiding.
Right.
So it is very prime that in our engagements, we are able to have that self-discipline and control. So no one, and we actually operate, on a land given by, a residential property. And, we have all night once a month. Either than that, it's evening services that ends by 9, at the latest. Our Sunday services starts from 8, ends by 11:30, sometimes 12, depending on what we are doing or what we have. But that's about it.
Do churches have regulations that guide their services? I mean, there are various councils, there's a Pentecostal, there's a charismatic. Are there specific regulations that are supposed to guide how you operate your services?
Sorry, which council?
The charismatic.
Hey, sorry, you're breaking up. See, this, it's supposed to. Ideally, we're supposed to have leadership that guides. Unfortunately, I think that along the line, we've missed a lot. There are no controls. I remember there are some, pastorate, clergy that would come on TV, do so many things. Will sit on TV, swear at people. Nobody, and they will claim boldly, nobody can call them to order. You see, so for me, this is where I think most of the leadership, the fatherhood voices, the motherhood voices of Christianity on the land, to a very large extent, have also lost a level of control on playing their role in our communities. And it becomes very difficult. Unfortunately, we are running a circus. So each one for himself, God for us all. You can't leave your church and go and tell somebody, unless it's within your branch. Of course, if it's under the umbrella of that organization, you have control. But outside it, yes, there are councils. But then to what extent can they put the whip to be able to, get someone in line?
Apostle, let me take your thoughts on regulation of churches. Do you side with the Rev that, they lack the whip to crack?
I think so. We have a lot of independent churches that are not even under
any umbrella.
They are just independent churches. They are on their own. That's how come you could have a lot of that. Like he was saying, people come on TV, do a lot of stuff, abuse human life, do so many stuffs. Like nobody can control them. Nobody can. Ghana Pentecostal Council cannot bring them to order. The Charismatic Council cannot. Because they are on their own.
Sorry, but they can hold press conferences.
Oh yes,
but that's just about
those are just official.
After tonight, I know that.
But practically, it doesn't work.
So, sorry, can you edit this live?
We're actually live.
I want to put a disclaimer on that one.
because it's a concern that among the Christianity, for example, the Muslim core community, is easy to regulate them. Because usually you say that all of them come under one umbrella, the chief imam. But under the Christianity, the Pentecostal, the Orthodox, the Methodist, the Anglican, the Presbyterian, like everybody. So we are kind of like too many fractions. It's difficult to bring too many fractions together to be controlled by one. Because then again, the doctrines are different, the belief system are different, the way of worship are different, operations are different. So it becomes a bit cumbersome. So it's really, really, really a worrying thing for some of us in a way that we should be able to, but like I said earlier on, the laws are there. We know our stuff, but I think it's not working in the system.
But what's your take on street and church evangelism?
To some extent, people have to preach. go into the cars. If I have the chance, I will do that. Go on the street. When I was in school, I do a lot of dumb broadcasts. When I was in school, I do dumb broadcasts. I don't use megaphone. I use my voice.
Yeah,
no, I do dumb broadcasts. Like I said, I don't use a megaphone. I don't use megaphone. I use my voice, and I don't create nuisance. People love me. In fact, for about 2-3 months, they were even looking for who was the guy who would be preaching because they love my preach. And when you see me walking on campus, you wouldn't even know I was the one. Yes, so I believe in decorum. I believe, the fruit of the Spirit. We have the gift of the Spirit and then the fruit of the Spirit. The gifts have to operate within the confine and then the atmosphere of the fruits. For example, we have gentleness, we have temperance. Temperance allows you to be able to temper everything down, modulate it to some extent. So street evangelism is okay, but then again, not only the churches, the trotro drivers, different places, you see the hooting, the hoo-hooing and all those stuff. So street evangelism is okay, but then again, I think there's a way we have to find a way to educate the people. If we can educate people properly for them to understand that, hey, the street evangelism, you can do it, but could you lower the voice? Could you regulate it?
But how do we regulate these people if, the regulations are not in place? If the people to even crack the whip are failing to do so, and they are not under any umbrella, so who regulates them?
So that is the issue. Who regulates who?
But we have bylaws.
We have bylaws.
You just spoke, or we just heard from the AMA. There are communities that are, or every community is under a certain municipal authority who has a mandate to be able to exact certain bylaws within our communities. I think to a very large extent, like he mentioned in his preamble, that most of our systems don't work. See, okay, I can't say this here. Most churches today that believe they need to worship a certain way, go watch them in Europe and America.
Yeah.
They shape up.
Yeah. You will.
Dude, people drive down the street and they just stop the car, get out and go take a pee.
No.
But elsewhere they will not.
They will hold it.
Yeah.
Because the system, the structure. See, what we're talking about is a failed community. It's not churches, it's leadership in our community. Unfortunately, no one wants us to talk about it. It's okay. Maybe they should pat themselves in the back, get a coconut with an umbrella on top, until one day we all become one jungle. But we live in a community that requires certain things to be in place. I would have loved to have that level of freedom to do anything I want, but my freedom should not actually depress the next person.
But even in the Bible, the same Bible said that all things are lawful unto us,
but not
all things are not expedient.
Yeah.
All things are not helpful.
Yeah.
So just misquoting the Bible, that the same Bible tells you to regulate yourself.
Exactly.
Mr. I know you have a lot of experience when it comes.
I think maybe her energy was gonna come from, if we were in denial, they would have gotten.
No, a lot of people are actually been expecting us to come in here and say, but no.
The truth
is the truth.
Told,
the fact is a fact. There are noise. And noise is noise. It's nuisance. It's irritating. No matter who is doing it.
Let me just add this: that see, noise is an effective symbol of productivity. Anywhere. If you walk to the chop bar and everything is shut down, it's not productive. Because when it's working, you hear some boom, some pum. When the taxi driver wakes up and kicks the ignition of his car, he expects to hear a sound. If it doesn't come forth,
something wrong.
If I switch on my TV and GHTV, doesn't not have volume and have only pictures, I'm not sure I'll stay there for long. I'll switch. So sound denotes productivity. What we're talking about is excess.
Yeah.
The extreme.
Extravagance.
Where we are not managing and controlling because we feel, because of our beliefs of what we worship and so on and so forth, we can do it anyway, anyhow. No. That is what we are speaking about. And yes, you can. For me, I think that one of the best messages I have heard was being on a bus from Accra to Kumasi when a woman woke up to, apparently she was a lawyer. She was on the bus and I was so convicted. She goes to the Lighthouse Church. She stood up, asked permission to speak with us. And it wasn't noise. She just spoke God's word, and it was great.
But you see, I like how you just said she asked for permission. Usually they don't. And so they have this sense of entitlement. Or like,
some of them do.
For me, I've never had that experience. They just start, and then when you be like, oh, sorry, you woke me up, then they get offended. That's the problem. Because for me...
And you know the funny thing, when you're on a bus, and then they are preaching and they are singing, and then you are looking away.
Or maybe you are taking your phone.
They turn the message and it's directed at you.
Some people don't respect God.
So that's where I'm saying that most of these people who actually, you go to them, they are producing noise and they are nuisance, and you talk to them and then they refute it. Then they become very arrogant.
But you're supposed to know
you
already.
See, some element of ignorance is in there. Because usually ignorance and arrogance go together. So when the person is ignorant, doesn't know, he feels that, one-sided thinking is very bad. Half truth is very, very difficult. So most of these people, some of them, are not well informed, I should say.
As for the preaching, we must preach.
Is that? The preaching, they must preach. Yes, the preaching, they must preach.
But not producing nuisance.
Even Paul says that if my eating of meat,
would be offensive.
If my eating of meat would offend someone, I don't have to eat the meat. Christ taught level of compromise, able to accommodate. Don't compromise the gospel, the scriptures, the principles, the whatsoever. But you must be able to find a way. Even Apostle Paul, he said, those who are as without the law, I became as without the law to convict them. Look at this example. 2 speakers went to a youth meeting, and then one came and said, today's youths, you are arrogant, you are proud. I don't know what is wrong with you. You don't have to come together and then come together and listen to be able to become better in society. First speaker. Second speaker came. I understand that today's youth are facing a lot of challenges. Sometimes make it very cumbersome for them to be able to relate because of different options, different choices. But in the midst of the challenges, you need to find a balance to be a fruitful youth. These 2 speakers, who would you want to listen to?
The second one.
The second one. You understand that? The same message but different approach. The approach, if I'm coming to ask for permission, my approach is everything. Wrong approach, good request will still be turned down. So we are not saying that people shouldn't preach, but the approach, the medium, be cooking a nice food. Let me smell the aroma. Let it be so enticing. Then you serve me the meal in a broken bowl that is dirty. No matter how nice the meal is, I'll reject it. Because the bowl in which you've served it is dirty. So I'll reject it. So the gospel will be preached. If we are not too careful, the same people we are to preach to, we're going to provoke them, make them bitter, they'll resent us, they'll be angry, and they'll walk away, and they'll be judging us.
In light of all these things, Rev, in your first submission, you talk about the fact that in previous years, you see some of these Methodists, the Orthodox churches, having designated places for worship away from residents. Should we go back to those ages where churches are given or are designated places away from residents?
Sorry, are you talking of Accra or a different country?
I'm talking about the now.
Which
will it be possible?
Okay. Even if you have the thought, where are you going to get that land? It doesn't exist. Accra is gone. The truth is, those days when there was the means to, it was. Today it would never. Listen, nothing will come back to what it was. It's moving forward. We need to find a way. Unfortunately, I think our town planning system had also failed us to a large extent. Of course, due to corruption, someone will take money and give a license, issue a license for a fuel station to be planted in a residential area. Not just churches, shebeens, clubs, and so on and so forth. Things that shouldn't be. And what we need in communities, parks, where kids can go take walks, hikes,
have all been taking over.
Have all been taken over. So even when those plans are there, the lands are not even there to be able to do that. Accra is now a brick city. We are living in concrete and bricks. So, of course, water would also not find ways to exit, but we're still having this problem. So I think that, unfortunately, everything that should be helping to coordinate so that we have a symphony or a harmony in our communities are not working.
So what should be the way forward then, especially in regards to this gentleman's issue?
I think he doesn't need to give up. He needs to keep engaging. If I'm here, I would not go at a church service day. I would write officially to the pastor and request a meeting. And I would sit across a table and share my plight respectfully.
Should he test the law?
He can. I mean, why not? He can, you know, but like he said, he's also a Christian. So he doesn't want to take things to whatever extent. Someone would not do, you know, write a letter to Tales, and because what he's trying to do is, I'm disturbed. I want help, but I also don't want to take, because he mentioned that he doesn't want to do something that will see the church close down. All right. So it's all about the fact that he's a very nice, polite person who understands what it means to be a member of the church, to be a Christian. Unfortunately, he's not getting the same back from the same church. All right. So yes, I mean, I would like to first engage at that level. Maybe you go at church service time, you will find this challenge. But I would love to engage one-on-one. When the euphoria of all the noise-making adrenaline is not, where you can reason a bit differently and engage you. If that fails, of course, if he really, because it's his house, he can't leave it and go and rent elsewhere.
Exactly.
All right, so he needs to. And the church must be able
to see reason.
Mr. No. What he should do? I mean, you're saying he should go and talk to the guy. He already said he spoke to them, and then they'll compromise a bit, and then they'll increase the volume again. So obviously, it's like they see it as everybody feels they're entitled to be there. We have a right to be there. We have our church. We're doing our thing. You have your house. You're doing your thing. So something's got to give. So what has to happen is that, and the guy doesn't want to leave. So with the church, either they're able to get the soundproof thing we're talking about. Because somebody has to compromise. Either they do that, or the police has to come in and, you know, say, okay, in that case, like how the guns do with them, what do you call it? The ban on driving on noise. Then the police might say, in that case, if you cannot get a sound proof whatever, then you may not have to use your speakers and maybe play drums and things anymore, because something has got to give. Because you are neighbors. And you cannot infringe upon someone's rights. There has to be a limit.
Compromise.
That's what has to be done.
Well, like I said earlier on, I ever wonder if this young man is going to get help.
If there is God, if there is help.
Yes. So like Rev said, he should furthermore do more engagement, engage the church, engage the leadership and stuff like that. Secondly, maybe he can rent his place. Vacate the place, rent it
but out. Another human being will
no problem. We're talking about him, so we're talking about him. Why should he?
So the immediate solution is
so maybe he can rent out the place and then go to another place.
It's a very difficult situation.
Just endure it, because in life you're either going to be enjoying
I wish he could endure.
No, he shouldn't.
Yes.
It's not
well, let me take a number of messages and then we can call it a night. It's Abigail Anina Kwa says, it's mostly the instrumentalists and the sound engineers in my own church. 95% of the time, I have to stick my fingers in my ears when praise and worships are ongoing. Oh. The sound person and instrumentalists don't understand when noise goes beyond music and becomes a nuisance. My pastor dislikes the noise and will tell them to tone it down, but otherwise, they do what they want. Report them if they get a first warning. They will know they are near eviction. If they continue in their old ways, you won't be a devil for reporting them. It's these babies and toddlers I'm even afraid for. Bella Ahave says, report them to the police, my dear. God himself hates nonsense. Kwabnanan says, what is the purpose of the court? Na Ayoko says, take them to EPA Street. Ben is Sena. He says, go to your district assembly or municipality. You can make a complaint to the environmental health officer. They deal with such issues since noise pollution is part of environmental health issues. Ketre Kofi Tete says you can report them to the environmental health unit in your district or municipal assembly to take action against the church because noise is also a nuisance to human health. These are some messages I can take for now because of time. But thank you very much, Reverend Oseidia, Benny Oseidia, is a resident pastor of Family House Chapel in GHOne. Miss Tuno is a lifestyle sex motivational speaker, and of course, she has concerns with noise pollution.
Yes.
Apostle Theophilus Jeffrey is the founder and lead pastor of Ever Flourishing City Chapel International. And earlier we had Gilbert Nyankwa. He's with the Public Affairs Unit of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. This show is proudly supported by Peck Biscuits. Thanks to my producer, director, camera, sound, lighting, all the guys behind the scenes. They actually do the work. I'm only here talking for a living. My name is Lily Mohammed. Have a good night.
I like how open she is, very open-minded, very fun to be with, and her smile, very charming. We can have something going, you know.
I see a very big future in there. But you see, girls know what you want. I'm tall. Maybe she will be crashing on short guys. You get it? I have broad chest. Maybe she wants guys with cute chest. I don't know. But with me, I see potentials in there. She's real. She's honest with the kind of things she say. Yeah, and you having a future with somebody, definitely the person has to be honest, the person has to be real. And she's just everything it is. My head